Every great car story starts off with a road trip, and this was no different as we shoot down to the mighty Waikato to check out New Zealand's cheapest and most feared ex-highway Interceptor police car. After meeting up with the sellers, checking the car out, having a million laughs, we paid the rest of the money, and then we started our long journey back up to Auckland. Of course, I had to make time to drive in a bus lane and get a $150 fine on the way. Welcome to the channel. This is your old mate Non-Rasputin, and here we are with our next project. This is a retired ex-highway patrol Interceptor. When I saw this come up on Marketplace, I thought, yeah, I have to rescue this thing. It was probably the cheapest SV6 in New Zealand at the time. And then I started to dig a little bit further into the story. The police didn't actually retire this car until it had done well over 300,000 kilometers. So why did they keep it on for so long? This thing here is a retired legend. It's battered, it's bruised, it's rough around the edges, but it deserves its second chance. That's what I think anyway. So let's take a look around the car. This car's definitely seen better days. It's a Series 2 SV6. It's got a Series 1 bumper. It's got a Series 1 Evoque headlight on this side. It's got some sort of like funky sensor that someone's put in there. For some reason, the police wanted to keep this thing going for a lot longer than they do their other vehicles. What was so special about this car? A lot of people would say, why don't you just scrap this car? It's probably worth a lot of money in parts. Your old mate Non-Rasputin couldn't do this, okay? There's no way we're going to let this retired legend, this highway warrior, turn up in the scrap heap or anything like that. We're going to get this thing back to how it was when it came off the factory line. Almost. Well, wait up. Where did the story of our car start? Our VF Commodore was produced in Elizabeth, South Australia, where over 177,000 were made from 2013 to 2018. Finished in Some Like It Hot Red, it was shipped to New Zealand once completed and fitted out with police tech at Wade Engineering, then put straight into service here in Paihia Police Station in the far north. This cop car was thrown into every car chase, manhunt, crime investigation they could throw at it. The sheriff had a new stallion in town, and it had earned a reputation, loved by the locals, feared by criminals, and trusted by the cops. This is why they kept it so long.
Yeah, I remember that car. Never forget a cop car like that. Me and the boys tried to outrun there one time. But just reeled us in. It's like the engine wasn't even trying.
Right, let's check out the center console. So at first looks, it looks okay, but then, yep, it's got a big crack. The hinges are broken, and luckily, though, the broken hinges are actually still in there. So we should be able to fix this one. And if we come around to the back here, there's no vents in here either. So I don't know, perhaps someone in the back of the police car wasn't too happy about being taken away, so they probably booted the hell out of it. So what we're going to do is take that apart and fix that while we're in there as well. There we go, that just pops off. Then we've got a couple of screws here. G'day, mate. These two plastic hinge pieces here we're just going to remove very carefully. Oh, they came out pretty easy. And then what we're going to do is we're going to repair that lid, put it all back into one piece. Something else we've also noticed is that the foam is also pretty degraded here. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace that foam while we're there. So take it apart. It's as easy as these screws here, and then that rubber should come off. Right, so this has got a big crack through it, so we'll repair that while we're in there. The old foam is pretty sad and flat, so what we're going to do is we'll put a couple of extra layers of foam in there when we put it back together, and it should be nice and pumped up again. Right, so we're just going to hot staple up, just put a couple of staples in here just to basically just strengthen it up. Hold it down. Good. Just pop in a straight one. Just in that little seam there. Right, next the most important bit is the hinges. And so this is quite thick plastic. So we're really going to go deep with these ones. I'll just use these straight staples with sort of a little bit of a wibbly wobbly in it. Right, if I can hold this straight. Put a few more around there just to really strengthen it up because we don't want this breaking off again. Awesome, working. Right, another thing that can happen with these is these carpet, I guess, mat holders can end up coming out, and that's what's happened on this one. And so normally they just go sort of through here and around. Just basically a clip that goes through there and clips down. And so that's ripped out. So what we're going to do is make a slit over here and insert these second-hand ones. I got a couple from the wreckers for a couple of bucks each, so quite reasonable. And we'll get into it. Okay, so here's another issue I have. I put into reverse and no camera. So that's something we definitely want to sort out. Alright, so here we go for the camera wiring. Just unplug that. Okay, so just put this aside for now, and we'll plug our other one and just see if that works. Okay. Still no go. It's not the camera. Very interesting. As you can see, we have camera. It's mounted a bit sort of wonky at the moment, but I found the issue after looking at the schematic. There was a fuse here, F27, shoot over to here, and that last one is just one I popped in there. The fuse had been taken out. So nothing wrong with the camera at all, just the fuse. What do you know? Okay, so now that the panel bond is fully set, let's get rid of these magnets and this securing tape as well. So this stuff is very, very strong. It's used by many car manufacturers to bond panels to chassis rather than welding. so it's very, very fit for purpose for what we're trying to do here. So just before I put all the light fixtures back in, I'm just going to run a bead of silicone just around here. So this sealant here probably isn't really needed, but I just like to finish it off with that anyway, just in case. You never know, might crack over time. It's very, 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 very unlikely. But in the rare case that it does, at least then there's a little bit of protection there for the next owner. Okay, so now that we've made all the repairs that we need to make to the headlight, it's all sort of now stitched and stapled and all ready to basically go onto the car now. I'm just going to put some sealant on all the bits that were basically touched here, just to sort of make sure there's no sort of pinhole cracks or anything like that, which will allow moisture in. What we need to do is get some MS sealant, black sealant, get an old rag, right, get a nice healthy dose of it, and basically just rub it in to these parts that we've worked on. So basically cover up all those staples and rough bits there. We'll fill in the cracks and make for a nicer finish, but more importantly, a weatherproof finish. Because, yep, moisture does get under the bonnet. Moisture will go over the headlights and stuff, so this is a good way of sealing that up. Okay, so the right headlight is, you can see there's like a sort of the dark fascia in there. And if we go over to the left side, this is like the silver side, or silver fascia. So this headlight here is probably from like a Series 1 Evoque or something similar. And here's our junkyard find, which is actually the one we repaired, which has the dark fascia. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this one out, throw this one in, and at least gives it the matching pair the way it should be. When we pulled this off, basically it relaxed back there. So when it was repaired some time ago, they pulled this back forward to this level, screwed it up, and this then has sort of caused this to bow out in these two places here. So what I need to do is bash these back into place, or get roughly into the right line, and then I'll know exactly where this needs to sit, which means that this guy here, this support, should be bent back to sit back into its proper place, and then that headlight should sit exactly where it should sit. Kind of got this panel back to where it should be, and there is a bit of a difference in height between this guy and that guy, and so I can see that this one here is bent slightly around, so I will have to sort of pull it up. So by bashing it this way, it should actually lift that whole thing back out like this, meaning that the light should bolt in correctly. Okay, so it's starting to move around, and once it actually sort of starts to move this way, then I'll know it's in the right spot. So it still needs to come around quite a bit. So I might actually employ some heavier equipment to be able to move this thing. Just gently massaging it back into place where it should be. Not going too hard out, but enough to sort of pop it back to where his natural shape is. So checking out the bumper itself, there are a few things which need addressing. First of all, there's looks like it's probably a normal patrol car, Evoque white sensor. We have these holes that were sort of ground out for the police lights and the associated screws. We need to sort that out. Onto the bottom grille or the lower grille itself, it's broken in quite a few different places. I assume it's from sort of collisions and different things. This is broken here, that needs repairing. Sort of a piece which is kind of sticking out. Same on this side, we have the police light holes there. And something that was quite peculiar was the front sensors were sort of mounted and glued in place in this sort of orientation here. Might be able to actually grind these top and bottom tabs off, and that might actually sit quite nicely. It's a bit of a windy day in Auckland today, so hopefully it doesn't come up on the mic too much. But some interesting stuff found, like once I started fixing up the trim or the bumper trim and pulled the bumper off there, got like a nice big shiner over here. Had a hell of a knock, but it's lived to tell the tale, so I'll probably just leave that there as a badge of honour. It's obviously been involved in like a pit manoeuvre or something like that, and managed to sort of come off second best. Well, actually no, probably came off winning. Sweet as. Fixed this one here. I put a couple of staples in, hot staples. Just a word of advice: if you're doing these sort of chrome trim bits, you do need to grind the chrome off or the chrome film off before you actually put a hot staple in. Then it'll actually adhere. Otherwise, it's you won't be able to push through it. And so something quite interesting on this one. So this has the tag. It was produced in a factory called Tong Yang, which is actually in Taiwan. And as I started going through some of the other parts, this one also has Tong Yang, and as does the bumper, the front bumper as well. So it seems like that those parts were produced from a aftermarket supplier. I have used Tong Yang before on a few other builds, and they're actually pretty good. So I think as far as like sort of aftermarket, I don't have a problem with it's not genuine. Rah, rah. No, it's sweet as. Look, it's for a bumper part. It's okay. If it's not genuine, it is what it is. It's getting really, really hard to get some of these parts. So sometimes you have to be, kind of reasonable with the whole thing. So as I was pulling it apart, I did notice like quite a few odd things, like this light here, this, the driving lights is I think it's from the Series 2, and they've managed to sort of shoehorn it into a Series 1 aftermarket bumper. Same goes on this side as well, and it's not really sitting there. It sits okay, but we can definitely do something with that. So another oddity was what had happened previously. It was actually like this. It's just kind of mounted over the top like that, and it looks a bit kind of rude. So what I intend to do is just shave down that top lip here and that bottom lip there, and it should sit a bit more flush in there. And then I'll basically just hot staple it in there and put a bit of silicone in, and it'd be sweet as. So yeah, let's get stuck into that one, eh? So the quickest and easiest way to get rid of these holes here is to plug it up with a piece of bumper or plastic of the same size. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put this, this is actually just jib stopping paper, just on the underside, mark around it with a pen, cut out a piece, and then once we put it in place, we're going to plastic weld it there and then start smoothing it off. So now that we have our template, we'll cut that out and then pop it into place. Okay, so nothing beats plugging up a hole in the bumper like using a bumper of the same variety. This here is a bit of a scrap from a previous smash repair, I guess. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get this and basically just pop it anywhere. It's all of the same thickness really. Just press as hard as we can into that, cut around it, and then that makes our plug. So this is our template here. Just chop around it. So here's my little patch. I just insert it from the other side. There we go. So that's in place. What I'll do is flip the bumper over, give it a good couple of hot staples in there to keep it in place, and then I can start to smooth it and then probably run some filler through there. I'll plastic weld these holes here because we don't try and avoid bog if we possibly can. Now we're going to remove the rest of the exhaust. So now we're draining the transmission. I'm not entirely sure why we do it. I've just seen all the other people that have done this job before have suggested draining the fluid, so we're just going to follow suit. I'm assuming it's so when we don't take the torque converter out, it doesn't like leak fluid all over the floor and all that sort of jazz. So let's just do what we're supposed to do. Nice clean fluid. So I have undone all of the torque converter bolts. That's now spinning freely. Oh, so if you have a look up here, I don't know if you can actually see it, but I can turn that torque converter freely now. It's now disconnected from the flex plate. So that's cool. Basically what I'm going to be doing is undoing all of these bell house bolts. I still want to have these side ones in place here for when I do drop the transmission back, because I'll be doing the top ones. I don't want the whole thing to sort of just fall out on me without any warning. With the transmission supported with a jack and a lump of wood, basically to distribute the load, I've now tilted the transmission down, and I'm using a really long extension bar to reach those two top 15mm bolts. And so it looks tricky dicky, but it's actually quite a lot easier than what it is. So we'll just take those off, and once we've done that, we'll remove the two side ones that we kept to last, and it should just come away from the engine. Right, so first thing I want to do before I actually pull this torque converter out to have a look at it, I can clearly see that there's evidence of fluid all the way around there. When I pulled the thing off, fluid just came out of everywhere. So without a doubt, she's leaking for sure. But we knew that anyway. That's the whole reason we pulled this out. So first thing I'm going to do is basically get a straight edge here, and I want to take a measurement from here to my torque converter, about 8 millimeters from there. Reason why we want to do that is once we actually get the torque converter back and we pop it back into the housing, we want to make sure that it goes back into where it's fully locked in place and into its same spot. If we don't have this all the way home, like mated and home locked in place, when we put it back in, I could then start tightening the housing or the bell housing onto the engine, and I can end up wrecking the pump, which is something we definitely don't want to do, because then we're going to have to pull the thing out again, and that'll really hurt my feelings. Let's have a look at the torque converter. So just looking at this spout here on the torque converter, just zoom in here, and definitely looks like there's some crack going on. So before I put the transmission back in, it's always good practice to replace the seal here. There's no point doing all this work on the torque converter, etc., if it ends up being something else, you know, as well. So we have a new seal here. So the first thing we need to do is get out this old seal. And to do that, just get a screwdriver, and then you'll see like a bit of a snap ring which goes around the seal. So just gently pull that out. Okay, that just comes out like that. And the next thing is we need to pull out that old seal. So what we don't want to do is to ram something in there and scratch the surface that this mates on or anything like that, or else we could be causing ourselves a world of pain. So what I like to do is get if you don't have a seal pick, then you can just get like a little spanner and then just pop it in here, and should come out quite easily. And it did. Brilliant. So just having a look at this, there doesn't seem to be any issue. The steel wire is still inside the seal, so the seal is fine. Okay, but as I said, always good practice while we're in here. Let's just make a good job of it. Just give it a nice clean in there. So I have the new seal, just to give it a little bit of slippery. Popping the new seal in is pretty much just the opposite of taking it out. Again, just make sure you give it a good inspection. Make sure you're happy with the cleanliness. And then we're going to push it in with our thumbs. It's actually going home quite well. So it's not quite all the way home yet. We will have to tap it in. Now it kind of, you got these notches here, and they locate in the pump or the transmission, what you want to call it. We're just going to go feed on there, nice and slowly. Okay, it just clicked in once. Now you might think, oh yeah, she's ready to go now. It's clicked in, sweet as, but not. Okay, you have to turn it, and then it goes in again. Okay. Now that we've got the torque converter in place, we just want to make sure that it's actually all the way home. Just measure to the surface that bolts up to the flex plate. I'll just measure that there. That's 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 8 millimeters. It's exactly what it was when we measured it the first time. So I'm quite happy that this is in the right place, that it should be. there's an age-old debate about whether to reuse torque-to-yield bolts or not. Now, some of them you probably could reuse, but when it comes to the torque converter to flex plate, I've opted to get brand new bolts from Holden, and proudly made in Australia. Now, if I open them up, oopsies, all over the place, they've got a thread locker already on them, and basically just up to 63 Newton meters or something like that. Now, were these expensive? They're $1.80 each, you know what I mean? So there's really no excuse not to use them. I just took the time to sort of drive down and get them one lunchtime at work. So, like, you know, for the case of like, you know, $15 or whatever it was for a set, might as well just get them, do them up to the right torque. I know that there's not going to be a bolt snapping off in the flex plate because that would make me really, really sad if I had to pull out the whole gearbox again just to extract a broken off bolt. Anyways, on to it. Now that the transmission is butted up to the engine, I've just gone around and started doing up these bolts just ever so slightly, just moving my way around, making sure it's in the right position. The key thing to remember is that you do have a couple of dowel pins, okay? So if I have just put so up in this area here is a dowel pin, and you've got one on the other side. So you make sure that those dowels are actually sort of in place when you're putting them together, because last thing you want to do is to do it up tight and crush that dowel, and then you're in bigger problems than you can imagine. So another thing to do is while you're doing up these bell housing bolts, make sure you can still spin the torque converter, okay? And like before you actually bolt up the torque converter to the flex plate. Reason is this should be loose until you actually bolt it up. If it's not, then back it all off and pull it off. It just means that torque converter isn't home properly.